That's hot, honey.
We're live.
The echo was just wonderful.
And welcome to Heathen Talk. I'm doing Josh's job for a minute because they are stuffing their faces with pizza. Because Domino's came like super late. So what should you expect?
Domino's came like 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, about that.
Right, it got there later than they expected. Welcome to Heathen Talk, season 2, episode 33, the end. Guys, this is it. Last podcast. Last regular podcast. I make no promises that if something large comes on, I might not be able to talk to them and get on to complain about things. But last regular podcast, kind of bittersweet night because I am sad about it. I don't know why, but I don't even know. Like, we're still out there. You're still gonna be able to find people on Reddit. I'm still writing. I know Josh is still writing, so, and then Heathenry, just for people who've asked, Heathenry and the job mall are going to continue, and there's other stuff, and we'll talk about that later. We have 2 great guests with us tonight. Former producer, guy who's been with us since almost the beginning, Mark. And then our friend and contributor and former executive producer, Toby. Because, we might as well have a big family reunion while we're here.
Happy to be here.
It seemed like a good idea to have Mark and Toby on. They were probably 2 of our biggest helps and contributors throughout the course of the show. We had a couple of other, producers that came and left. But Mark was always there from the beginning. And I don't think we had anybody that was as much a regular host and or contributor as Toby was.
Nope.
So you guys deserve to be here for the end, if nothing else, because somebody's got to share our pain.
That's fair.
I'm all about spreading the misery.
Well, if you weren't, you wouldn't be heathen, right?
That's fair. As an excuse that I can continue to stuff my face. How's everybody been?
I'm no longer a full-time college student. I have finished. I have 1 class left. And I'm basically just stretching it out so my dad can so I can graduate in December so my dad can make it.
Congratulations.
So started my full-time job Thursday, and that's pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie. Having some money available is pretty nice.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And beyond that, things are good. I mean, I really struggle to complain when I look at a lot of other people in my situation. Like, even people that graduated with me, they can't find jobs, and I've had a sure thing job for the past year. I can't complain at all.
Mark, how you been? Mark, how have you been?
Oh, starting fights, the usual.
Mark put out this amazing piece about the marginalization of Western polytheism that if you haven't read it yet, you really need to read it. I made all my students read it.
I haven't had any response yet, so I think I'm just being ignored. So, it might
Or you just made your point well enough that you couldn't be countered.
I might have to agitate a little bit more. But that's neither here nor there.
I've been there. I've written some things and they've landed like a wet fish. And, I know they're good. I know there's valuable information in there. I know people are getting things out of it. But yet, there's a wet fish slap on the concrete.
Well, at the end of the day, you've got basically 2 types of people that are potential commenters. The ones that agree with you or the ones that disagree with you. And if you make your point really well, the ones that agree with you aren't going to have anything to add other than I agree, and most people aren't going to bother with that. The ones that disagree with you really want to jump in there and tell you how they disagree with you. But you made your point really, really well, and it's hard to find a hole to take advantage of for them.
Well, I also want to throw out Mark has some allies are not shy and can be a little intimidating to people who think they can make their point.
Well, it's that, and they don't care about what they say. So if someone tries to say you were a jerk and you said this, they'd say, "Yes, I did. What are you going to do about it?"
And see, to me, it just comes down to, Mark. I personally when it comes to that kind of stuff, if I'm really impressed with something and I know the person who wrote it, I'm gonna do something that's a lot more productive than say I agree. I'm gonna spread. I put a link to his article on my blog. I made all my students it, and I thought that was far. And plus, I messaged him and said, "Hey, dude, this is good. Congrats."
Yeah. Well, it had a couple hundred people read it in 3 days or so, but whether it gets any more, who knows?
Well, wouldn't be Heathen talk if one of us didn't forget to silence our phones.
Yeah, right. I'm on my phone, so you can't hear anything.
There we go.
My phone lives on mute because I work in a call center.
That true.
Mine usually is on vibrate just because I get annoyed at people at work whose phones go off. I say that as my computer just did the little ding ding ding. So yeah.
Fortunately, I only have one computer, so all of my computer notifications are going through my headphones, and y'all can't hear.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's been a while. I just got the thing.
So, Toby, how have you been?
I've been good. I've been really good. Work's been work. It consumes a lot of my time. I've had a joy, and I hesitate to use the word. I hesitate to use the word I was going to use, but I've been finding a deep joy in teaching my thrall over the last almost year. We're getting to a point where her year is coming up. I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see her grow. I've got some exciting opportunities coming up. We'll talk a little bit about some of them, but there's a couple of other things on the horizon in my personal life that I'm excited about. Some opportunities for career advancement, some opportunities for just personal enrichment, that kind of thing. I'm excited about that. And
you're not the only one that's excited about some of those.
Yeah, thank you. I'm also doing some I'm doing some work around ritual action. It's it's all inside baseball. It's not really it's not even at a point where I'm ready to share some of the theology behind it, but I'm looking at things like classes of divinity, and why do we have them, and what are we thinking about, and what is it, what do we mean when we use the term God, and things like that, and some things are forming and mushing around in the brain, and I expect to have something written on that soon. I just released a piece on Frith, specifically on the transformative power of Frith that went live last night.
It's a good piece.
I'm sorry I haven't seen it yet.
Well, I mean, I published it 3 a.m. last night. So.
Oh yeah, I haven't been home today, so.
Well, I know I can tell anybody who's waiting to hear about some of the stuff that Toby's got.
I'm gonna drop it to him.
Yeah.
Oh no.
What's up?
You dropped out for a second.
Oh, okay. No, I was saying that
Even
just
talk about it.
yeah, it wouldn't be. Just getting some of the early previews on what Toby's working on through random conversations. I think there's going to be some really interesting stuff coming up.
Yeah, I was actually up in Seattle with the Stone Shore crew last weekend for Memorial Day. Torrin and I got some sit-down time. We drove around Seattle. I got to hang out and watch some stuff happen in Stone Shore side. So why don't you guys tell us what you're up to?
Well, my tribe is doing incredibly, beyond where I expected us to be at this point in our existence. For one, those of you that have been following along with us at home over the last year or so, Josh is no longer worthless.
You didn't even get him down a flight of stairs.
No, never got around to kicking him down those stairs. He always found a way to wiggle out of it, much to his benefit, probably to the benefit of the stairs. This dude's 6'2" or something, right?
6'1.5".
6'1.5". I mean, that's gonna make it. That's a big guy. It's gonna make a dent in some stairs.
He's short. I don't know what you're talking about.
But no, he was released from his thraldom actually over the weekend while Toby was there and chose to make his oath. So my tribe is much better for that.
When it comes to stairs, though, I do want to make clear that in many ways, climbing up the stairs that we climbed was far worse than falling down them.
Yeah, but can you imagine falling down those stairs?
Oh, you being caught by that first turn around and you can grab onto the mesh.
If you were aware enough, for those of you that weren't there, by pure coincidence, that particular event happened on the top of a building, and the stairs involved, the actual, not metaphorical stairs involved, were pretty brutal. They were some brutal stairs. But no, it was the fortunes of the fortunes and luck of my tribe continue to rise, both as collectively and as individuals. Hell, two of us just got pay raises on the same day. You can't complain about that. So, no, honestly, everything's going well. My daughter's healthy, and that's probably the best part of the whole thing. How about you?
I mean, other than no longer being worthless, my roof tree is growing. I'm moving the girlfriend in next weekend, and that's going to be fun. Work is work. I've been part of a special project for the last 3 weeks, and it's looking like it might turn into a permanent special project, which is interesting. Adds consistency to the paycheck, but lowers it a little bit. Other than that, it's just work, man. Whether it's Heathen work or work, it's all work.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth?
So, Lauren had a brilliant idea.
One of many.
To kick it off, who are you toasting?
I am toasting. It's going to be a bit of a toast to several people who have been probably the, I don't know, I really want to toast to, first of all, to my kindred, Ben, Mandy, Angvar, and my godson Aaron, and then to my partner in crime, Alvidar. I've had a rough 6 months with being a full-time student, trying to finish my senior year, working, and they have done more to keep me sane and to keep me balanced than I probably deserve. And they have always encouraged me, and when I am, always been there, and I mean, even, I know that I can call at 3 o'clock in the morning, someone's going to answer, but I am... my kindred is incredibly blessed right now, financially, we're, and just in developing who we are, we now have 2 published authors in my kindred, which there's only 4 of us, so that's a pretty good role there. But I just am continually amazed, and to them, and also to my husband, basically everyone who's kind of made me into the Heathen I have delved into over the past 2 years. So To my people. Josh?
I'm going to toast a group of individuals who have been very influential and a large part of my life. These people have been friends through thick and thin. They have influenced me in many ways I can't even enumerate. And I am glad for their influence in my life because it has brought me to where I am today. And nothing will ever replace that. So to the original crew of Heathen Talk, Lauren, Torin, Mark, Toby, you guys made this worth doing, and I appreciate that.
Except you broke the rules, Josh. Not that it matters much. You're not supposed to use on the air, but you know, I'm messing with you.
What are they gonna do? Stop listening?
Exactly. What am I gonna do? Quit? Yeah.
So, this entire project of Heathen Talk has been just one part of a greater whole that I've seen going on in heathenry for the past several years, well before we started. And it was people who recognized a growing void. As heathenry's developed since its beginnings, there have been a number of people that you might call doers, both that have names that are recognized and a lot that didn't. And their actions have taken many forms over the decades, from the beginning when people first started getting the idea of Asatru and heathenry as religions off the ground and turning them into a thing, and then trying to grow it in whatever various ways they saw as needful and important, even in ways that in today's a lot of us say are no longer needed, like the national organizations. They had their time when they were important, when those people were the doers and they were the ones that were making things happen and trying to improve things. And over the last several years, we've had the next generation of those doers coming along. We've had, how many years ago was it that Raven Radio got off the ground? People like them. We have people in communities like Reddit or some of the Facebook groups like Heathenry that are out there doing their jobs, doing their best to figure out ways to improve heathenry, to bring us closer to what we need to be ultimately one day, and information available, or at least telling people where they can find that information. And with no small amount of pride, I can include everybody on air right now in those groups of people that are trying to make that next generation of doing happen. So, to all of those doers out there, in the past, the ones that are doing today, and the ones that are just beginning to do for the future, you people are the ones that are making sure that heathenry continues to grow better and get closer to what it is supposed to be. And thank you to you all.
So, what are you drinking?
Beer.
Well, Toby talks, so he gets to kick us off.
I'm drinking beer. It's local.
What kind of beer?
It's craft. It's a Pilsner. It's good. It's beer.
All right, hipster, tell us
A
what.
local craft pilsner. Could you get any more hipster?
No, he could.
I could.
Pills
Totally
is
could.
way too mainstream of the style. He could definitely have gotten more hipster. However, Toby, if you're going to go all hipster and tell us about your local craft brew, why don't you tell us who made it?
This is made by my favorite brewery in town, Woodland Empire. It is their Pilsner, titled Pilsner. It's so hip. It comes in a can.
I'll admit, it's self-serving to me to make sure he actually pimps it, because while you can't exactly go to the grocery store and get that stuff, there are some services by which you can acquire stuff from Woodland Empire once in a while. And I have never been let down by Woodland Empire. So it behooves Toby to actually tell people about them so that people can buy their stuff when they see it.
They do a good brew.
Damn right they do. How about you, Mark?
I am drinking a hot mug of miso soup because I only had a little bit of dinner. And I'm out of beer.
Oh, that's
I know.
terrible.
I know.
But miso's delicious.
Yeah, it's okay.
What about you, Lauren?
I'm drinking, this is gifted me by Albidar, my co-host on Heathen. It's called Gypsy Circus Queen of Swords. It's a handcrafted Tennessee vintage cider. And it's really good. She brought me a 4-pack when she was here a couple of weeks ago, and I saved the last one for tonight, because it's just that good. And yeah, it's, my husband actually even likes it, and he's not a drinker by any means, so it's definitely something that I'm going to have to figure out how to get more of, even if that means like a road trip over to Tennessee to get some.
Well, lucky for you, everything's small and close together on the East Coast, so...
No, it's not!
Comparatively.
We're talking like a 6-hour drive.
Comparatively small.
I made that drive for work last week.
Yeah, but Washington is still smaller than Arkansas.
That's true.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, fair. I'll accept that.
I mean, we don't have Texas distances here, but we're close.
The Midwest and Southern states get pretty decent sized.
They do occasionally. I'll give you that. I was trying to break up that whole Louisiana Purchase thing. I think after a while they just got bored and didn't want to keep working.
It's too much work to make it small. So they're just like, that's a state.
We're tired of coming up with new names. Just put a line here and give it some bullshit names.
I mean, there were fist fights over the northern border, how they were going to draw the northern border of Arkansas.
Wait, what's above Arkansas again?
Missouri.
Yeah, I'd had fist fights over that too. I wanted to keep as far away from that border as possible.
That's why there's the boot heel of Missouri is Arkansas, because Missouri's like, no, we want this, and Arkansas was like, sure, go ahead. Because the boot heel's kind of bad.
When Heathen, Arkansas is like, yeah, y'all can have it.
Now, if they would only take, I apologize to like the 3 people who are going to hear this, if they'd only take Blytheville. You know, they threw the town on the other side of the boot heel, and it's where my brother used to live, and it's horrible. But, yeah, even Arkansas won't take you. Like, I had to do a presentation, and we were talking about all these statistics about how Arkansas ranked, and I still wanted to add to my presentation, well, thank God for Mississippi.
At least you'll always have Mississippi.
Right.
And now Mississippi, and then we also are starting to get some, starting to see some of the Midwest states drop in there, so. Nebraska, we're coming for you.
Watch out, Neff.
All right. Torrin, what are you drinking?
Well, you know, it was a hard decision today. I mean, it's the last episode of Heathen Talk, so I had to sit down and make a decision between bitter and sour. The end of the day, I went with sour. Josh and I, who both are members of Tavor that I mentioned before, that, you know, service where they send you beer because it's awesome. They had the same brewery offering 2 different brewers at the same time with 2 different sours. And so he got one of them, I got the other. It's from Calicraft Brewing, from their barrel project, and it's a peach sour. And It's delicious. It's it's exactly what it is. It's a peach sour aged in white wine barrels, and it's 8.5%, and it's delicious. And you should all drink it if you can find Calicraft wherever you are, because it's awesome. And I think Josh has something to add to that, right?
Well, I'm always a big fan of peach sours. I think peach sours are some of my favorite sours out there. However, I am drinking the mango sour, and it's right up there. I'm not a huge fan of mangoes usually, but this one is quite good.
Oh, you know what? We didn't do the thing. You haven't tasted the peach, and I haven't tasted the mango, so let's make that happen before we end up drinking it all on air.
I think the peach is better.
It's really, really borderline right there. It's a hard call to make.
The peach has a better bouquet.
Peach has a better bouquet, but it's a little bit. They used more of the Brettanomyces souring, so it kind of punches you in the jaw a little bit more.
A little bit, yeah.
Look at me, not talking about how much I hate sours. So,
Hey, well, as I recall, when you were here over the weekend,
this is not an invitation to prove me wrong, Torn.
I served you a sour, and you thought it was delicious.
I did. I would like to recant and move on.
We can't, but we can move on.
So
yeah, what are we going to do with the night? I mean, it's our last episode. It's nothing we do can possibly lose us listeners at this point. So really, we've got carte blanche here. We can do whatever the hell we want.
Well, within reason.
YouTube has rules.
YouTube has rules, but what can they do? Kick us off?
Well,
Quite literally, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, we've all been on the show roughly since the beginning. I think Mark's like episode 3 or 4. Toby's right in there as well.
it's actually on the first one.
Yeah, Toby's on the first
Well,
one.
I mean, as a permanent member.
Yeah.
On episode 2, letting us use the pagan.
Yeah, the IRC.
IRC, yeah.
I think it took us a few episodes to convince Toby he was going to be an actual host and not just a guest.
What was your favorite episode? I'll start with you, Lauren.
My favorite episode is Lauren's trying to fix the reverb issue so it'll come back to me.
Okay. What about you, Torrin?
I don't even know. It's a hard call. We've done a lot of great episodes in the last 2 years. We've done a lot of terrible episodes in the last couple of years. We've done a lot of terrible episodes that the audience thought was great.
Well, I know Toby's favorite episode was a little weird.
That didn't happen. Didn't exist. It's all
Right,
and
and strangely, this episode that all of us agree was an absolute horrid train wreck that never happened is, from what I've heard from our fans, is one of their favorites. And I have to wonder if they're not just listening to see us suffer.
Some of them, for sure.
Yeah,
I can think of one who's in the YouTube chat right
yeah. There's definitely one that likes watching us suffer. I'm sure there's a couple of other people that absolutely hate us that watch us for suffering.
yeah, but I like to think that they're suffering too, and that makes me happy.
What about you, Mark? What was your favorite episode?
I don't know, man.
This is going to be a great episode.
No, I don't know. I guess I'm
What was your...
torn on being polite and professional and not. Yeah,
We can always,
yeah.
we can always be really just like in crowd about it and make references that nobody outside of our little group is going to understand. Like, I'm sure we all really enjoyed the bloodbath episode. And nobody...
You know, what's really weird, and Lauren, I don't think we've talked about this before,
Uh-huh.
but one of my favorite moments on Heathen Talk was when we were all, when that happened. And there was, I don't know what it was that pushed you over the edge, but when you joined in on that, and you're a member of that organization.
Yeah.
But when you took that and took that person to task, that was just beautiful.
Can we just call it the Maynard episode?
Well, here's the thing though. Here's the thing though with that. Just because I'm a member of an organization doesn't mean that I am not, I feel like I actually had a responsibility to hold that person to a much higher standard than you guys. Because
I agree with you, and I was honestly impressed and glad that you did.
And the thing is that what you guys don't understand is this is, back when I used to participate in stuff, I mean, hell, just a few months ago, I busted on them for misusing the word fifth. And you know what? People listen to me. It's kind of cool. I don't know. I'm just, to me, I think I have an obligation as a member of an organization to question harder than you guys do, because you guys really have no dog in the fight, and I do.
It's true. It just was, for whatever reason, it wasn't something I expected. And then to see my expectations kind of shattered that way was a cool thing.
I might also have had like some other issues going on internally with that group that I was getting tired of. So
that's fair.
I think one of my favorite groupings are any time that the Culvers were on. Mm-hmm. Those were all very solid and enjoyable episodes.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
I think the night that Toby and I were both pissed out, drunk, and arguing was my favorite episode.
That was a good one.
And we weren't even arguing, we were agreeing aggressively.
If I had to, I'm going to choose two. For sheer practical knowledge and just information and just value to the heathenry in general. I think when Sarah came out and did the death and the funerary rites was probably the most value that we added to the conversation.
That was a great episode.
In terms of which episode did I have the most fun with, that was the live episode at Cascading Moot. Because
that was great.
There was an audience to play off of. We had impromptu guests. Yep.
That was a hell of a chat we had by that fireside.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of the things, and Toby's right, the funerary episode probably added the most value. The things that we've done really well over the last 2 years is when there's bullshit, calling it out. And we've done it consistently. We've been consistent with when we call it out, how we call it out, whether it's not joining or associating with certain organizations or straight up calling out organizations. I really think that has helped a lot of the diaspora develop a good bullshit meter.
I think so.
I think that what's been interesting, of course, one of the big things, groups and whatever that we call out, I have some people who at the time were acquaintances, now I consider them friends, who are involved with these groups. And the discussions I've had with some of them over the past couple of weeks is they've really finally figured out that what I'm saying was true. Has been really refreshing to know that, even though at that moment when they read whatever, they saw it as just a hit piece. But they're reflecting back, and when they started seeing things that made them feel uncomfortable, we had given them that foundation to be able to step away, because they knew they weren't the only one. And I think that is the way that a cult or an abuser can get a hold of you is isolation. So if you know you're not the only one thinking it, you know you're not the only one that sees this and thinks and feels uncomfortable with it, that's very powerful and meaningful, and I didn't even realize the potential of that in the moment that I do now.
So, Mark, how about? Sorry,
He answered the question.
Yeah.
It was the episode.
you're right. You're right. He did. I got a little sidetracked by trying to follow another technical difficulty on my end. My mistake.
That's fine. That happens.
No, it's actually, I mean, honestly, a constant thing on Heathen Talk. We explain to you people the interesting intricacies of doing a live podcast, and one of the reasons that, you know, for all of, you know, being sad to see it end, one of the reasons that I will be happy to see it end is it's a constant division of attention between technical difficulties, chat feeds. You know, there's like 2 chat feeds to follow at the same time while I'm trying to talk with, you know, 5 other people. And, you know, then you get, it can't be, it must be harder even for Lauren, because she's actually hosting this chat. She's trying to wrangle all of our audio feeds.
I have 2 computers running in front of me.
Yeah, it gets a little rough at times, so...
I honestly, yeah, this is harder than doing talk radio. This is actually a lot harder, technically, than when I worked at the talk radio, you know, doing talk radio. That was a breeze compared to this.
So much to keep track of. So, when you hear shit like that happen on the air, get over it, because you're not behind the scenes trying to make this shit work. No, I was going to say something. Oh, you know, you mentioned the fun drunken episode while you, Lauren, and Toby sat there aggressively disagreeing with each other, or aggressively agreeing with each other. Put me in a little bit in mind of the Thraldom episode.
Oh man, I can tell you what, I had never really had serious regrets about missing a show till that one, because for those of you who don't remember, I had a car accident that day, and I was not.
Car is a strong word.
Car is a very strong word.
Hush. I had a scooter accident. I had a car accident. A car hit me on my scooter.
There was a car involved.
Okay.
It was
It was a Lincoln Continental. And I was not there for that, because even though I wrote the follow-up essay, I do not agree with them still to this day about their thoughts, and that's okay, because I don't have to implement their stuff in my kindred. I personally think we do it better.
To be perfectly clear, too, I think Josh would probably agree with me that in saying that we weren't necessarily conveying our thoughts as well as we would like to, because the beautiful thing about that episode is that the drinking started 8 hours before the episode did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think that comes through on the episode.
Oh no,
We were very...
And you guys didn't sound it at all.
we maintained like a mofo.
Which honestly is scary.
You can. There were some witnesses. There with us, because the whole way that went down is it just happened to be Oktoberfest, and my Stone Shore does a monthly pub moot in this area, and before either of us had really thought about the fact that it was also on a Saturday, we said, "Hey, Saturday is Oktoberfest. Let's do our pub moot on a Saturday instead of a Sunday this month, so we can capitalize on that. That'll be awesome." And it occurred to us at some point the night before, I think, that that was going to be a bit of a conflict. And in the end, Josh and I decided to say, screw it. We will go down to the German pub that we like to drink at down here for things like that. and we will do our pub moot during Oktoberfest. And when time comes to broadcast live, I've got my laptop. I'm friends with the owner of the place. I can get on their Wi-Fi network, and they'll let us broadcast from the back porch. And all of that was absolutely true. It wasn't necessarily wise.
I think there's a drink limit to doing live casts.
There might be. There were witnesses, like I said, there for that pub move that watched. I don't really have clear memories on how Josh reacted the minute we went off air, but I know for a fact the minute I went off air, I just kind of melted into the table and was really happy that I didn't have to try to maintain a guise of sobriety any longer. So there were words uttered at that table from me that have never been heard before and never been heard since. Because as I mentioned, being friends with the owner, who throughout the day kept bringing us free beer on top of what we were buying, because Don Schultz is an awesome man. Around shortly, and I just kind of slumped at the table and said, no more free beer.
I do remember the look of abject defeat when that last picture came out. It was wonderful.
8 hours of Oktoberfest can do that to a man, especially when he's not paying for it all.
I didn't actually watch the episode. I'll be honest. I was otherwise occupied. But my favorite story about the episode was when I came up last February for the baby shower, and listening to Torrin's wife tell me this story, and listening to Torrin telling me another story, and listening to the way these two stories kind of mesh together, and going, "Oh, this is the same night." It amused me.
It was a good night. And it was a terrible episode.
And I think Torrin and I both agree on that.
I'm so kind of glad we did it.
Call it a learning experience. So, we've all through Heathen Talk, we've all written pieces, we've all been part of larger conversations. What do you hope the legacy with Heathen Talk is?
What comes after? Like, what do we do with this? What do we take what we learned and what do we do next?
I hope that in the end to me it comes down to a much more personal thing, in that I think the legacy of Heathen Talk of me, and just personally for me, is the people I've met, the friends I've made, the contacts that I've made, and I'll be honest, the boost to my reputation and my kindred's reputation that came from it. I mean, it's my brain's a little insular right now, so that's kind of where I am in my head, at least.
It's fair. I can understand that. For me, it's always going to come back to what I originally wanted when I floated this idea on a subreddit, not expecting anyone to ever take me seriously. Thanks, Lauren. I honestly hope that it inspires people more creative, more intelligent, and frankly more talented than myself at this to reach out and become heathen communicators, much like Bill Nye is a science communicator, right? I want more of that. I want there to be a greater amount of communication and people talking about this thing that we've invested so much time in.
I think that making heathenry, we've made heathenry more accessible, and have made to people who may not necessarily have the time, or energy, or ability to parse more complex subjects if you just put a book in front of them. Because there are distinct learning styles, and not everyone learns well by reading.
What about you, Mark? What do you hope the legacy of your actions and interactions with Heathen Talk is? What do you hope people take from it?
Oh, well, people take from it. Shit, I was just thinking about myself. In that regard, it's kind of pushed me in a vastly different direction from everybody else, along with other things that I'm working on. But it's kind of helped direct me in that regard. I'd like people just to try it, just try. We always bang on no and do, and in some cases I agree, in some cases I disagree, but going out there and discussing and learning and experiencing and taking a chance on something different, I think, is somewhat needed. But again, I'm going off in a different direction, so
I think that's valuable, though. We've said on the show before that heathenry doesn't want you. And the thing is, a lot of people will put it on without considering it. And the only way you learn whether or not this thing is part of you is by trying it, by doing it. And so if you're going to put it on, give it a fair go. Do it.
Well, that, and I think that shaking things out of complacency and trying new things is going to be the only way that things grow. But that's my perspective.
Yeah, I reread Bill Lindsay's essay on Reconstruction for the first time in probably 5 years, a couple of weeks ago, in preparation for this Heathenry 101 class on teaching. And I think, experiencing, making your best guess, trying it, and if it doesn't work, figuring out why it didn't work and doing it again. Doing things that were important or meaningful ancestrally or to the arch-heathens to get an understanding of their experience. It's I think there's a fine line between role-playing and experiential learning in that regard, and I've crossed it. Anyone who tries to do that has at some point, but man, it has encouraged me to get more into my. I actually ordered as part of my Ozark heathenry studies, my Ozark culture, because Ozark folk magic is very much derived from heathen sources, because it's by way of Appalachia, by way of England. So I ordered a fiddle, and I'm going to teach myself the fiddle. It's going to be hard, but to me, that the experience in learning to play that instrument is important, because I want to understand that thought process. And I think that's, I guess if anyone takes anything away from Heathen Talk, from my perspective, it's don't be afraid to go and try and make your best effort. And if you fail, in most things, the caveat being when it comes to safe or spay or anything involving magic, you need a teacher, because it will kill you. I know someone who was trying to learn safe on her own, and it indeed did kill her. So, exception of that, I really think that there's something to be said there.
So I think we have helped create something that didn't really exist or didn't exist enough before. We've mentioned more, plenty of times on air, and I know all of us have mentioned independently on other sources before that people are always asking, you know, hey, what's the good Heathen 101 book? What's the good beginner's book? And for the most part, especially as time has gone on, our answer's always been it doesn't exist. There's no good Heathen 101 book, partly because nobody's written it, and partly because it's almost impossible to write at the moment. Toby, it might have been you that pointed out that there can't be a Heathen 101 book because we haven't written the Heathen 401 book.
Right. Like the idea here is that teaching someone something is requires that you understand it, and that means that we have to be able to demonstrate that understanding at a deep level, and that means that in order for us to write the introductory book, we have to write the book that the introductory book is to.
Right. And so what I think we've helped create with Heathen Talk isn't the 101 book or 101 podcast so much as it is demonstrating to you how to get the information that will eventually be in the 101 book. You know, we have done our best to touch on basic fundamental concepts at the roots of heathenry, and to do so not necessarily a way that's going to teach you all the things you need to know about them, because that was simply nothing, something this podcast could never do. But we've given you a beginning. We've given you somewhere to start from on a variety of fundamental topics. And I think
let's be honest here.
Same way.
I'm teaching a Heathenry 101 class, and so far we're up to 5 books on the reading list with the possibility of a 6th if it gets published in time.
Yeah.
Because that's what you have to span, even remotely, all the topics that should be covered in a 6-month-long 101 course.
Yeah. And I think in the same way that, you know, by touching on all those topics, by doing the little bits here and there, and by giving people an introduction to the introduction to the fundamentals, that we've also made people sort of internally realize why that's not really, why that book doesn't exist, and why you're going to have to read, you know, 24 different books to begin to get the fundamentals down, or at least find teachers who have read those 24 books. I think we've also, on top of, you know, giving people that sort of thing in an audio format, we've also gone out of our way to let people know that, yeah, finding someone to teach you is incredibly important. And at the end of the day, I think that is Heathen Talk's biggest contribution, is giving people a place to start.
We're remedial heathenry.
The only place I think I would disagree with a little bit is, I think one of our most valuable contributions has been the idea that you can disagree, and you can disagree at a core level without sacrificing friendships, without sacrificing relations. You know? Because, I mean, there's been points where we've all gone toe-to-toe with each other over an issue or two. And we're all friendly.
Yeah, it's... Here's the thing. As I get older, and this has actually been a big change in me that I'm really fortunate. I feel fortunate about. I have really, you know, there are people who, at one point in time, I would have said, well, I refuse to have anything to do with them because they're different from me in heathenry. And now I've kind of, I'm super guarded about who I've invited my kindred, but I don't necessarily have that same feeling about who I'm going to socialize at a pub moot or go to an event that they attend. You know, as I saw my friend Tommy today, and he's from the White Wolf Kindred up in Northwest Arkansas. I said, it pretty much has to come down to, it's less about what they believe and do I want this person around the kids in my kindred. And there are people who believe theologically on the same level I do that are batshit insane, and I would not want them around the kids in my campus. I'm very glad to have that, and I think that that's been another thing that we've been able to disagree and give multiple viewpoints. That's one of the problems that you see in almost any podcast, because I'm plugged into the business, is eventually it becomes an echo chamber unless they challenge themselves, and I like to think to some degree we have.
I think we've always tried to. I'm sure there have been times where we haven't, but it has been a goal, at least of mine, to always try and grow.
Well, I know I've learned a shit ton about heathenry in the last 2 years. I'm sure that if I were the type of guy who listens to Heathen Talk, which I'm not, then fuck those guys. But if I were to the early episodes and find places where I said things that I would consider today to be stupid.
You know what, though? If you're not growing, you're dying. And that's, and even if that growth isn't, to me, in anything in life, there's two ways you can be. If you can either be growing or you can be dying. And I don't really want to be dying. And when it comes to the things I love. And I believe that's a Dr. Phil quote, and I apologize for that.
There was a better one that was on the show, and I don't remember who said it. But if you're not embarrassed by your heathenry of 5 years ago, you're not doing it right.
I was going to say, in light of what Lauren was just saying, something in action is a sin.
If you're not embarrassed by what you wrote 5 years ago, comes from a mid-Atlantic heathen named Boyd, friend of mine. I've quoted him multiple times on that, but I always like to give him the credit because it was his statement. And
thanks for that, Toby. I had no idea that Ian was the one that said that.
I knew it came from the East Coast. I just didn't know where it originated in. But it's true.
The thing I want to say about Heathen Talk is that heathenry is a pool of value, and sometimes it's very shallow. In some places, it's very shallow. In some places, it's very deep. And for the next generations, for the generations to come, it is our job as heathens to pour value into that pool, not try and draw value out of it. It is important for us to make ourselves and those around us, those in our yards, better. It's going to radiate out from us. It's just the way it is. When somebody sees something that is working, they adopt it. And they try and make it work for themselves. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes it's very important for you to go, no, what you're doing is very much like what I'm doing, but you are missing these two very important steps. You need to put your belt down this particular way and cinch the safety rope this way, or you're going to plummet to your death. The reason I wear this is not because it's a fashion accessory. I'm not trying to look cool. It's because it's a piece of safety equipment. And if you don't set those ideas into those people's minds, they're going to hurt themselves and potentially others. And most importantly, you or somebody close to you.
Well, to come back to the idea of, it's like baking. I can, if I watch something on TV, like they bake a cake, and I try to replicate it without an actual recipe and the actual weights and measures, it's not going to turn out. But if I have, without that, if it says put 2 eggs in and I put 2 egg whites in, or if it says put a cup of sugar in and I put a cup of salt in, it's not going to turn out. Or if I use cream of tartar instead of baking powder.
Are you talking about like some weird Finnish recipe now?
No.
No.
The Finns don't know how to bake.
They'd have to have grains for that.
Exactly.
I don't make with grains, but anyway. But yeah, it's just
you have a medical excuse. The Finns...
You do, and you have substitutes for said grains.
I do. I actually made dinner rolls this week made out of coconut and almond flour that tasted like dinner rolls, and I about passed out.
The doctor's note is the only acceptable reason not to use grain.
Right.
Keto.
I'm going to go ahead, even in the strength of that, go back with Josh.
Mainly saying that in a harassing way because I know Josh did keto at one point.
Pseudo-scientific bullshit.
Hey, I love my pseudoscientific bullshit. I've lost like 40 I've lost 40 pounds on my pseudoscientific bullshit.
Well, I tried keto, and I like cake.
Whereas I love it. Because, like, it's not a sacrifice for me not to have wheat flour. But
I did Primal, and I enjoyed it. And as much as it's based on pseudoscience, because it really is, if you're smart about it, you can actually eat healthy without eating grain.
well, keto actually, well, we can debate this another time, but
I just look back at my life, and the best diet I ever had, as unhealthy as it undoubtedly was for me, was when I was really poor and spent like 2 months eating nothing but fried potatoes and eggs.
Penn Jillette has spent the last like year and a half eating nothing but potatoes.
Yeah, which I don't get it. When you've got that much money, you can actually go for a decent diet.
He's weird.
you could have super fancy potatoes like purple potatoes. I had a really...
Those were russets, and they were fried in butter, and I had eggs with them, and that was it for like 2 or 3 months. And I lost like 30 pounds. Because I was intentionally on a diet. I was just really broke.
I had a kick out of steak tonight, or this afternoon, so I'm liking my low carb, but some people, if your family has a tendency towards diabetes, they're actually seeing that it's very beneficial, and I don't want to be a diabetic and lose my toes like my aunt.
Right.
So I think one of the things that Heathen Talk, though, something else that Heathen Talk has done that I think is important and think is worth mentioning is the connections that we've helped people make. I think especially of our friend Robin, who listens quite frequently, who, because of our friendship with a kindred in her area, she was able to find a really good group of people. I think of the countless people who've reached out to me and said, hey, do you know anybody in so-and-so? And I may not know somebody in so-and-so, but the Heathen Gossip Network or the Heathen Verification Network that I run in with the Midwest, we could find somebody, or we could find out about somebody. And I think that's been, I guess if what the legacy of Heathen Talk is, if it's nothing else, it's the connections that people have made as a result of, in some way, shape, or form, the show.
I want to mention something on that subject. Lauren is not wrong. The ability to connect to people and help who can help you connect is valuable. One of my least favorite is can't find blank. Lauren has done a project, there are maps, there are places you can go to search. Find out if there's someone in your area, and then ask someone if they know him. Because frankly, I know too many people to keep them all straight.
Yeah, I don't know where half the people I know are actually at. Sometimes.
It's gimme. It's gimme.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm more than willing to make a connection happen. I have yet to have an attempted connection happen where I have given a name or made an introduction where it has resulted in something. And that's frustrating. I'm not going to put people that I like, people that I know, I'm not going to ask them to put themselves out there unless the person I'm asking, unless they're putting themselves out there for somebody who's going to show up and do it.
I'm gonna play the role of the cranky old heathen here for a second. See if I can do this. Back in my day, I literally walked up a mountain to meet heathens. If you're not willing to go, don't ask.
I'm going to refer y'all back to Robin, who we mentioned earlier, who got on a plane from Massachusetts and came to visit us in Cascadia last year.
With her dog.
With her dog. And if Robin can do that, you guys can look at a damn map and drive an hour or two.
You know, for me, I tend to not refer people to other people unless I know that that person has some sort of public. If that person has to have expressed to me that they are willing to host pub moods, meet new, that kind, I'm not going to just, for instance, I have friends that are in a kindred that is a closed insular community. And they only want a certain kind of person in their kindred that they basically have a warrior cult. And even though I've had 4 or 5 people that have asked me, hey, do you know somebody near Podunkville? I'm like, no. Because unless I know this person, know that they have that warrior mentality, they want to get involved with that kind of warrior cultist they're trying to build, I'm not going to refer them. Pretty much everybody I refer somebody to is somebody who has expressed to me that they are willing to be a public heathen. They're willing to meet people, host meetups, whatever. So that's been kind of at least my experience, and that has worked well. Has it led to, it's led to 4 or 5 people finding other heathens in their area. Sometimes they mesh, sometimes they don't. But I'm also considerate of the person I refer them to, and 9 times out of 10 I refer them to I refer them to someone who I know is willing to take that on and has expressed to me they're willing to take that on.
So, looking back is all good and fun. What's the future hold? Lauren, I've seen on Facebook you've got some projects in the work.
I have lots of projects. I can't stay not busy. So, Heathenry is going to continue. Heathenry and the Java Mall will be back. Heathenry actually will probably be back 1st of July. We're actually out doing some face-to-face interviews. Danielle, in fact, is interviewing Winifred Rose Hodge face-to-face this weekend, which is pretty exciting. If you don't know who that is, Google it, because she is like OG Heathen. Java Mall will be back in August, and then around that same time, we're going to archive Heathen Talk, technically, and then the Java Mall and Heathenry are going to be moving over to a new podcasting network called the Midgard Network. And the Midgard Network is going to host the archives of the Heathen Talk website and stuff on our server. So all that stuff, the Heathen Talk, like the domain, all that's still going to be there, the podcast, all that's still going to be there. It's going to be rebranded and for Heathenry and for the Java Mall. And so that way the content stays hosted, but it'll still be on YouTube. I mean, it's not going away by any means.
What's what are the names of some of the projects you got going on? I know you got Midgard Network. I recently saw you sent in a T-shirt.
Oh yeah, I have we just put together some. I have a web store called the Ozark Heathen Emporium, which is over. The best way to get there, you can go to my new blog. I have a blog called feministheathen.com. Progressive ramblings about a Reconstructionist religion. And there's a link there, as well as the Black Barricade bookstore, which has Ben's books. Because, if you buy them through affiliate links like that, he makes more money off the books. So, I was trying to get him the most he can out of Amazon. And I am writing over at Feminist Heathen. Got a lot of stuff up. Started a series on Frith that I had to kind of put on pause because finals. But the next piece of that should be up tomorrow. Doing my best to piss people off, because that's what you do. And then I'm also involved with the first annual Conference of Heathen Women. That's going to be in Asheville, North Carolina, the last weekend of July. I'll be presenting. We're actually going to have, it's an academic conference and a moot. So I will be presenting on the perception of the how heathenry is presented in the media, and let me tell you, this past week, I've gotten several really good examples that have pissed me off. And also, from a public relations standpoint, what can individual heathens who want to do to try to counter the very grim and ugly, to be honest, the grim and ugly ways that heathens are being portrayed. And part of this is because, of course, the Portland train stabber guy was professed to be heathen or Odinist. And so that's given me a lot to write about.
Yeah,
Very
well,
cool.
that was just sensationalist media, to be honest with you. I mean, at the same time as he mentioned Odin, he was mentioning, Bast and...
He straight up said something about them falling outside of the praise of Jesus. And
something. He was just all over the place.
Yeah, but that's the point. That's kind of what I want to reflect on, is I want to reflect on why are we portrayed this way and how, from an academic point of view. But it's going to be pretty cool. There's going to be someone there doing, old school, I can't remember what they're called. Basically not machine tattoos, but you know what I'm talking about.
The tattoos?
Yeah. And there's going to be a workshop on ritual dance. It's going to be phenomenal. And then, of course, I'm also teaching right now. I'm teaching heathenry to a group of 20 women who are in isolated areas, or they feel like they want to know more about heathenry before they go and meet with real heathens, because they want to, as one of the girls said to me, I really would just like to know more about it and have a good, base knowledge so I can figure out who's full of shit. So they're going to be reading 5 books over the next 6 months for me.
Nice. Mark, what about
starting with A World Full of Gods.
Yeah, a few. Nothing really too new. Just kind of powering through with the old. Wrote 6,200 words about apples, and maybe mentioned apples 3 times. But that kind of stuff.
Nice. Real quick, sorry to interrupt. Lauren, you did not give a website. What's the website people can go to find you?
feministheathen.com. I said it 3 times.
Sorry, I didn't hear it.
I do have, and when we're done, I have one more thing I want to talk about, but y'all go ahead.
So go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, nothing really too far out the box right now. But if it happens, it will be different. That's all I know.
I know you've got certain things that you've been steadily plugging away on.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing I can really talk about yet because it's just going still kind of murky and bubbling around in my head.
Right.
Just kind of working through. I've had a rough couple of months, so I'm back on the wagon with that stuff. So that's why I've been as prolific as I have in the past week or so.
It's always good to see you writing again.
Yeah, well, I got a lot started. It's whether or not I'm going to finish it on time is the problem.
I know that feeling.
Well, the best thing about writing for your own purposes is that on time becomes a rather nebulous concept.
Yeah, but when you try to say I want to make at least 2 posts a month and then you just don't. I mean,
I've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, last year was my best year personally in terms of my own personal site. I broke 20,000 unique views, so it's not big, but it's small pond, small fish kind of thing. So.
Well, hell, man, I don't even know if Heathen Talk has 20,000 unique views.
Yeah, but I've also had my site up for, I don't know, 8 years now, so.
We have tens of views.
Tens of views.
Tens of them.
Tens of views.
Toby.
So.
So I'm continuing to keep my my website going. That's forward.com. I am also doing a new project with 2 assholes from Seattle called Regarding Heathenry.
Those guys. You're assholes.
They are the best kind. No, we're going to be doing a new podcast together, the 3 of us. It's a different format. It's a regular show with deep dives into specific topics. Those topics are grouped together to what we're calling series. Those series are kind of like you take an overarching concept of Frith. Like, we tried to do an episode on Frith, and we never really got very, very deep into the idea. So the idea is to do 4 episodes on Frith. Do maybe 3 or 4 episodes on social structure, do an entire deep dive just on prestige culture, do all of those things, group them together into topics, and release them regularly. You can find it at regardingheathenry.com or Facebook/regardingheathenry.
Crap. Now people know this exists, and we have to, deal with people talking at us.
The first episode is going to be landing in August. I'm sorry for spoiling what you guys are up to. But
I'm up to doing a podcast with these 2 assholes that I know. One of them's in Seattle, the other one's in Boise. It's called Regarding Heathenry.
Anything to keep yourself talking, huh?
Right? I mean...
Well, they had to find a way to get rid of me somehow.
Everybody knows everybody knows that, I love to hear myself talk, and the louder the better, right?
Yeah, right.
And Josh and Toby understand exactly why that's hilarious.
I just read books. So, Lauren, you said there was one last thing you wanted to cover?
Not really at this point. I was going to talk about my new podcast I'm launching, but since we finished, yeah. Sorry, guys, but this is awkward.
Well, tell us about... All right, fair enough.
I mean, there was some, yeah. I'm launching a podcast called...
I forgot. But
I'm launching
interested in hearing about your podcast. I really am.
I'm launching a podcast called Running with Hammers. It is going to start in August because I don't want to try to start anything until after this conference is over. Running with Hammers is going to be a twice-monthly podcast. One week will be one-on-one interviews with people who are interested in heathenry. And I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be similar to the Flaming Crap Fest.
The Flaming Crap Fest?
As in, I'm going to ask tough questions of people.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought that was like an actual podcast I hadn't heard of.
No, like
in my life.
the Flaming Crap Fest podcast we did.
So I mean, are we possibly looking forward to more bloodbaths?
Yes. I'm going to try to be fair. I want to. No one has approached heathenry from a journalistic perspective. My background is journalism. I want to sit down and be one-on-one with people who are interesting, controversial. I want to ask hard questions, but fair questions. I'm not going to go on the attack. I do want to be fair with people, but I really feel like giving, if Steve McNally would be on the air, I would interview him. I mean, I'm fully willing to give people a chance to explain their point of view if they're willing to answer tough questions. McNally won't come on the air because he won't answer tough questions.
Just going to briefly interrupt. If you get Steve on the air,
yeah, he won't.
I will be so mad. I tried so hard to get him on the air.
That would require him to answer questions. He doesn't like to be on air. He doesn't want to be places where he's not in control. And then the other podcast is going to be me and the rest of my kindred. We're going to talk about linguistics. We're going to talk about science and writing and topics that are ancillary to heathenry, but aren't necessarily hard heathenry. Because I feel like, you guys are kind of filling that space. So I want to get into things like talking about brewing, talking about just, topics that heathens are interested in, to kind of break up the serious news, tough interviews, the other ones. I've already got 2 interviews in the can right now, and I've got 3 more lined up this month. We're hitting prison ministry, we're hitting building your own, building regional traditions, where, it's going to be really good. I'm really excited about it. Plus heathenry. I just want to shout out to Avidar got accepted to grad school to start her PhD. So
awesome.
A lot of heathenry is going to fall back on me too. So
You're busy.
The podcast with your kindred, what's it called?
Running with Hammers.
Running with Hammers.
And that will be at the midgardnetwork.com. The website is crap, and then we're on Facebook, the Midgard Network. The faces that don't judge me on my website, I thought our last episode was in July. So I thought I had a month to get this done, and quite frankly, my capstone project almost killed me. Quite literally, I had a huge flare up and couldn't see out of either eye. So.
Well, I'm glad that's over.
Yeah, so I just haven't had a chance to get it done. Plus, we changed the name 3 days ago because the people that are working on that with me were like, hey, this is better. And I'm like, yes, it is. Let's do that.
I kind of like it.
Branding is important.
Yeah, and we got a cool logo too, so that worked out. But yeah, I'm doing a lot of stuff. Yeah, Running with Hammers, actually the logo is almost finished. We got into an argument about what kind of helmet we wanted on our Viking. And so, no. That was the whole point. We were debating historically. Albion is a textiles historian. So we were going through all these things of which stylistically we should choose.
I would have applauded you for the horns.
I was going to say,
comedy gold.
I'm not sure whether I'm more disappointed that there aren't horns as opposed to if they're with pin horns.
No,
it's Running with Hammers title.
Well, it is. It's a Viking running with a giant it's stylistically much more like the movies Thor's hammer. In a Sutton Hoo garb, I think is what we settled on. One of my kindred brothers is drawing it up for me, and we've been working on it. But yeah, Running with Hammers. It's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be very different from what you guys are doing.
Sounds like
obviously.
I'm gonna be honest.
But nobody's doing journalistic stuff, so.
I want to see the bloodbaths. I think you just got a listener in me because I want to see you do the journalist stuff.
I plan on it, and you know, it's going to be, and not all of them are going to be bloodbaths. I mean, some of them have been really fascinating conversations. Some of and a lot of the episodes are going to be recorded face to face. So some of them will be on Skype, but a lot of them are going to be recorded face to face. I'm going to have I have a pretty busy travel schedule coming up. So if you're going to be at the Conference of Heathen Women, or if you're in South Florida and are interested, please get a hold of me, because I'll be in South Florida in October. And so, yeah, I'm trying to do a lot of face-to-face stuff as well, just because I think it gets a better interview when you're actually able to look across the table at someone and have these conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, you say that you know you're going out of your way to be fair to people, and that's good, because that makes for the best bloodbaths when they happen.
Yeah, well, let's be honest here. That episode and that bloodbath was totally, you know, that was totally fair. I don't think I said anything that was out of line. I didn't ask a question that was untoward. But, like, for instance, I'm going to have Diana Paxson on. And a lot of people in the Heathen community, I don't think would be very fair to her.
I would have a hard time based solely on my one real pet peeve that has to do with the alphabet.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, I do have to give her credit for the fact that Hrafnar's been around for how many years?
No,
and is successful, and is one of the biggest kindred, one of the biggest groups in the country. So there's something to be said. She's an incredibly successful author. I mean, for all that you can say and complain, I want to give her a chance to talk to me about why they do what they do, why they believe what they believe, what their basis is, how they came to that conclusion. Because even if I don't agree with her, I want to understand how she came to that conclusion, because even if I don't agree with your conclusion, sometimes hearing someone's logic helps inspire me to think in new ways, even though I may not, you know, it's like doing experiments. I may not, you know, if you only do experiments where you know how things are going to turn out, that's not really an experiment, that's just doing shit.
So, Lauren, I'm wondering if you've considered this.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world are you going to handle stealing all of Heathen's Off's audience? I'm just saying.
I didn't know there was an audience.
I need a drink from that.
Wow. That was some primo salt right there.
I felt the heat from this far away.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. You know, I just assumed, you know, a real trained journalist needed to do some of this work. So,
Xander, if you're listening, sorry, not sorry.
I'm not sorry, because I'm a real trained journalist, and I'm sorry, after that little hit piece that came out where some guy bitched on the internet he was going to sue us, I lost kind of all... That kind of killed all credibility for that. For that.
I'm still not entirely sure that wasn't, like, a really sophisticated bit of satire.
No, this guy's nuttier than squirrel turds.
And just for anyone wondering, we never got sued. So.
No.
Neither did anybody else he said he was suing.
No, because I actually set up a notification on his district court just out of fucking curiosity. And yeah, his name never even came up in federal court, so. Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I kind of, I'll be honest, I lost a lot of recruits, and you know, as my friend told me today, you know, there's the truth, there's what you say, and there's what I say. The truth is always in between, and that guy was just drunk, and somebody took him way too seriously.
You know, and I know we're coming up on 8:30, and I have a snake that needs to eat, so I'm going to need to go home. But
I have a hot tub.
You win. The thing that got me on that was just how many people we had in common on our friends list when I looked that guy up. I was like, ooh, time for a purge.
You know how many people I had in common with him?
None?
One. And that person was someone who I am friends with and has put on ignore, for lack of a better way to put it. I don't see his posts anymore. But at the same time, there are political reasons why I'm still friends with him on Facebook.
So, Lauren, I want to release you to your hot tub.
Yes.
Yes.
But I want to flip things a little bit this week. Y'all are doing it wrong.
And you're not the boss of us anymore.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. You are not the boss of us. However, I will say that my Kindred's new official shirt says, "We're doing it right." So.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Goodbye, everyone.